New tonight, war in Iran. The U.S. military has released new video showing targets being hit in Iran. This video appears to show missiles striking Iranian ballistic missile threats. Central Command says U.S. forces have hit more than 1,000 Iranian targets so far since the bombing began early yesterday. Good evening and thank you for staying up with us. I'm Johnny Archer. It is Monday morning in Iran and the U.S. and Israel continue to drop massive bombs on the country's ballistic missile facilities in what's being called Operation Epic Fury. President Donald Trump says the U.S. has destroyed 9 Iranian naval ships and largely destroyed Iran's naval headquarters. Iranian officials say more than 200 people have been killed since the start of the strikes that killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and other senior leaders. And sirens blasted over Jerusalem tonight, warning of incoming missiles. Iran has counterattacked the strikes, firing drones and missiles at Israel and aimed strikes at U.S. military installations in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. Most missiles appear to be intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system, but this new drone footage shows rescue teams in West Jerusalem after Iranian missiles hit a road there in the latest retaliatory barrage from Iran. 6 people were hurt. And U.S. Central Command is reporting 3 American service members were killed in action. 2 officials tell NBC News they were killed in Kuwait, where the U.S. has large bases. 5 others were seriously injured. And President Trump is back at the White House tonight after spending the weekend at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, but avoided questions about the conflict in Iran. Earlier today, the president spoke about the mission and had a message for the American people.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago.
The president also urged the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military and police to lay down their arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. And new tonight, Israel has launched a barrage of strikes on the Lebanese capital of Beirut after the militant group Hezbollah fired missiles across the border. It was the first time in more than a year that Hezbollah claimed a strike against Israel. The Israeli military said it intercepted a projectile that crossed the border and that several others fell in open areas. No one was hurt. Hezbollah said the strikes were carried out in retaliation for killing Iran's supreme leader and for repeated Israeli aggressions. And travel chaos is rippling around the world. Take a look at this map showing closed airspace in the Middle East. Major airports in the Middle East are shut down after Iran fired a barrage of missiles and drones at countries in the Gulf. More than 1,500 flights in the Middle East have been canceled. Passengers were evacuated from Dubai International Airport after it was attacked, and Kuwait's airport was also damaged. And new at 11, as a result of the action around the Persian Gulf, oil prices rose sharply as overseas markets trading started. Traders are betting the supply coming from Iran and other Middle Eastern countries will slow down or even stop entirely. The attacks and retaliation throughout the region have restricted the ability to export oil to the rest of the world, most notably through the Strait of Hormuz. And that is the world's most important potential chokehold point. An estimated 20% of the world's oil is shipped through the strait at a rate of 15 million barrels per day. Energy experts say prolonged attacks will likely lead to higher prices for crude oil and gasoline. 8 OPEC countries said today they would boost production to help stabilize the market. And more than 500,000 Iranians called the United States home. And today there were 2 demonstrations that brought different groups together at the steps of the Art Museum in Philadelphia. One protesting the war between Ukraine and Russia, the other celebrating U.S. action in Iran. NBC 10's Kelsey Kushner spoke with Iranian Americans hoping for change in a Middle Eastern country.
Outside the Art Museum, 2 groups calling for change overseas.
Islamic Republic, gone! Gone! Gone!
At a planned protest put together by supporters against the war in Ukraine, Philly Iranians brought their own message to the rally, celebrating the death of Iran's supreme leader.
Thank you, U.S. Thank you. Finally.
For Bobak, it's personal. He says he's celebrating the possibility for major change for his people back in Iran after decades of violent suppression.
Now people can take their country back, and they have the leave they've deserved. They're seeking for prosperity and freedom and having normal life, basically.
The demonstration followed a massive U.S.-Israel joint strike on Iran, killing 40 of the nation's top officials. Demonstrators cheered and marched toward City Hall, thanking the president for the attacks.
He is one of the most horrible dictators that the world has ever seen. And no one wants war, no one wants killing, no one wants innocent people to die. But this regime needs to go.
But with celebration comes fear and uncertainty. The question now turns to what happens next. Analysts say regime change is rarely simple and often violent.
I'm afraid that regime change is not likely. Certainly a regime change that would lead to some kind of democratically elected government.
Dr. Ian Lustig with the University of Pennsylvania says attempts to overthrow Iran's government could create chaos.
I am afraid, though, of the way that this conflict could escalate, because I don't see how its aims can be achieved through some kind of quick surgical military strikes.
President Trump said that Iranian officials are interested in talking, but he did not specify what those talks are about. In Center City, Kelsey Kirchner, NBC 10 News.
And earlier today on NBC's Meet the Press, moderator Kristen Welker spoke with members of Congress about the strikes on Iran. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham shared some of what he called his headlines of this weekend's attacks.
The leader of the largest state sponsor of terrorism and his inner team are dead. The mothership that fuels the proxies is in sinking mode. The goal of this operation is to change the threat, not the regime. When this operation is over, no matter who takes over in Iran, they will not have ballistic missiles to hurt us, Israel, or the region.
And Senator Graham also argued that it is not the job of the United States to pick Iran's next leader, although he added that it would be great if the new government is one that the United States can do business with. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly took issue with his approach.
Lindsey a number of times said we hope. Hope is not a strategy. We got to have a plan here. I mean, what is the strategic goal, and how do we achieve it? And my job here in the United States Senate is to make sure that this administration, has a plan and doesn't put Americans, especially U.S. service members, at further risk.
And Senator Kelly did say that he believes it is a good thing that the Supreme Leader is gone. When Congress returns to Washington this week, lawmakers are expected to vote on a war powers resolution that would compel the president to seek approval from Congress to conduct more military operations in Iran. The White House says it will brief Congress on the military strikes on Tuesday. And Pope Leo is calling for an end to what he calls a spiral of violence in the Middle East. The Pope made those comments during his weekly address in St. Peter's Square. He says he's been following the events with deep concern after the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. The Pope says stability and peace cannot be built with weapons that spread destruction, pain, and death.